course you'll recognise what this is. It's a pump, and this one dates back to about 1935. Same as the car. I hope it worked a lot better then than it does now. The fact is, we tend to take things like pumps for granted. Unless they stop working, that is. And the same is true of the pump in our body, the human heart. It pumps blood around our bodies for an entire lifetime. Now, we all know we can't live without a heart, yet we seldom give it a moment's thought. Until something goes wrong, that is. Then we have to think about it very seriously indeed. When the heart stops pumping efficiently, it's known, rather alarmingly, as heart failure. Heart failure is a chronic condition. It cannot be cured. However, things can be done to help it. So, join me as I go, eventually, and talk to some people who know how. Hopefully sometime today.
Hello, Tom. Car trouble?
Not quite car trouble, but I want you to tell me about heart failure. Janet Reid, she's a nurse who specialises in heart failure. Tell me, Janet, firstly, what causes this thing called heart failure?
Well, Tom, the thing is, heart failure isn't a disease in itself. It's actually due to some other underlying problem. Main reason being coronary heart disease, which can be a previous heart attack, long-standing high blood pressure, or even a leaky or narrow heart valve. There is also a specific heart muscle disease known as cardiomyopathy that can cause it. But what's important to remember with heart failure is that the patient's symptoms can vary in their severity.
I see. So obviously it affects people in many different ways.
That's right, Tom, it does. The signs and symptoms are shortness of breath, either at rest or on exertion, or ankle swelling, which is due to fluid retention. But we'd probably be better speaking to Harry because he's been living with heart failure for a number of years now.
That's fine by me, but can we use your car?
Here in. Tom, this is Harry.
Pleased to meet you.
Harry's lucky because he has a heart failure nurse come to visit him. He's on the appropriate medications and your symptoms are well controlled.
So Harry, tell me, what steps have you taken to control your symptoms?
Well, I'll tell you what, exercise is very important, so why don't we take a wee walk and we can have a chat about it?
Fair enough, lead the way.
Well, the first thing I do in the morning is weigh myself and take a note of it.
Aye.
Now, if I put on 2 pounds, say 2 days running, or 3 or 4 pounds in a week, well, I would tell the doctor or the nurse. I take all my tablets in the morning, especially the diuretics, because they make you go to the loo quite a lot. You're better to get that out of the way. And then I've got to watch how much salt I eat, because salt, you see, attracts water to the tissues, and you want to avoid that. Well, giving up salt isn't really hard. I mean, you just have to avoid foods like cheese and bacon, and of course heavily salted snacks like crisps and so on. And then of course it's always better to keep salt off the table at meal times. And I watch how much alcohol I drink. Well, no more than 2 units a day. And of course I've given up the fags completely. And then I take as much exercise as I can. Now, a lot of people think it's a wee bit risky to take exercise when you've got heart failure, but you've got to remember, the heart's a muscle, you know, and like any other muscle, it gets stronger with exercise. I mean, it can be any sort of exercise, armchair exercise or short strolls or something like that. You know, it doesn't really matter, every little helps.
I'll race you to the car then. I could do with a cup of tea. Janet, you said earlier that heart failure isn't an actual disease, but rather caused by other underlying problems. So how does this influence the way you go about treating it?
Well, there are treatments available for heart failure for people, but it's important that you get the appropriate investigations to find the underlying cause of it.